trans women are getting their hormones denied. So with the whole situation with the NHS now, it's different. Like, you can be waiting for like 7 years to get your first appointment to go on hormones. If I went to the GP and said, can I get a blood test? They're allowed to say no. The government are not condoning people transitioning, really.
What do you mean they'll refuse a blood test for you?
That's really not good, because obviously you don't have any way of producing hormones, so you have to take artificial hormones to survive.
Wow.
Hi, I'm Bel Priestley and I'm in great company.
You started transition when you were 13,
Yeah,
right?
it's so hard dating as a trans woman.
Explain that to me.
I don't know if I'll ever get like married or like I'll find someone that, you know, it's rare for us.
Would you like to get married? You said there was a time when it got really dark.
I can talk about this, but I'm not going to go into detail. Like when I was 18, at a festival, like my first time wasn't consensual, and I was drugged. I'm
so sorry. There are sort of extreme people who believe that trans women now shouldn't be in female spaces.
With this whole like new law and stuff, how's your life changed? Because I could ask any woman in this room and I'm sure they still feel as unsafe walking home at night. If I get stopped by a police officer or like public transport, I will now be strip searched by a man, which is crazy. Like, trans women aren't the problem, it's men.
Bel, so you're going on a date later?
Yeah, I'm quite nervous. I'm back into the dating scene. On dates, I'm really awkward.
Are you?
I'm quite an awkward dater.
Let's role play it. Here we go.
Oh, God, okay.
Okay, here we go, ready? So we're on a date, okay?
Yeah.
Right. Hey.
Hi.
Good.
This is you okay? How are you? Yeah, I'm good. Once I get past that point, I'm like, they'll be fine. I'm just excited to get back into
Why?
dating this absolute nightmare.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, you just ended up being a bit transphobic about like 8 months into the relationship. Yeah, it was so bad. When the whole like women's only gym thing happened.
Yeah.
He was saying like it's such a good thing, like women claiming their spaces. I went, all right. And then also it was like International Women's Day.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, he put on a story like celebrate your woman, like make her feel special. I thought, it's my time to shine. Yeah, no text, no call. And then it got to the end of the day and I was like, oh, like, hi, it's me, hello. And he was like, yeah, sorry, like, didn't think it applied to you because you're trans, like, you know, it's just about celebrating like natural women. I went.
We've actually had a conversation before, you and I.
Yeah.
And it was great. And so with you today, I want to I want to like almost pretend that conversation hasn't happened. So I want to start again of like who you are for people who don't know. Obviously, so many people know exactly who you are. And also talk about your life, but also, look, I suppose from my side, I'm like a privileged, like white male man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, especially with the new law changes, it could be easier for me just to ignore it.
Yeah, I think that, a lot of people are speaking up, which is nice.
Which is really nice. And
nice.
For me, like, I care about injustice. I care about if people are feeling suppressed, I care about that.
Yeah.
But I also want to just make sure that if I say anything clumsy or I say anything stupid, we're friends.
Yeah, no,
so you can just tell me to shut up or you can correct me or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So that wasn't me crying. That was just a bubble in my throat.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Is that okay? Is that a deal?
Of course, 100%.
Because there's a lot going on at the moment.
Yeah. No, it's intense. It's definitely been an interesting couple of weeks. And it keeps unfolding, which is like the bit that is crazy.
So why don't we hit, before we understand who you are, should we just hit the bullseye?
Yeah.
Because the Supreme Court has...
Basically, they ruled that legally, trans women are now seen as men. So basically, trans women aren't women in the eyes of the law. But it was an act done by the Supreme Court, which the government didn't necessarily need to take. So the way I understand it is the government could have like taken it as like they can act upon it how they want to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's kind of given the government leeway to do what they want now, which is to sort of like exclude trans women from certain spaces and so stuff like toilets and stuff and women's changing rooms, etc. But it kind of becomes it's one thing that everyone's talking about, which I think is important to mention. It's kind of deep-rooted misogyny because no one's talking about trans men. It's all about trans women. And it just means that it's going to become a lot of like who looks the most feminine, who looks the most cis. Because there's a lot of women that don't look like, you know, I might look more cis to like a cis woman. Like
And when you say cis, what do you mean by that? Just
so cis is just like someone that's basically born the gender that they are. So
Yeah.
it's but also I love how online people are like, don't call me cis. It's like a word from, I think it's like a Latin word. It's been around for like thousands of years. Like no one's calling you a slur. Like you're fine. So yeah, basically it's going to become a bit of an interesting
position,
situation.
right?
Yeah,
Because it's
how
so
do you police it?
how
This
do
is
you
what I want to
police it?
know.
And the thing is, you're so right. It's interesting that you talk about misogyny there, because no one is talking about trans men.
No,
And so that's then
I know,
becomes an
because
issue.
then you say like, oh, well, trans men will have to go into women's spaces, and people are like, no, obviously not. Like they're men, so it's like, but trans men aren't women because you're not letting them into women's spaces, so it doesn't really add up. And like healthcare is getting harder. Like it's going a little bit downhill, and like also, I think people are following suit from America, and like I think now New Zealand is now like following suit with what the UK is doing. It's all just a bit like much.
When I saw it, and I was pretty shocked, right, by the whole thing, because it feels like we're kind of really progressive, and we've taken steps back in a really sort of peculiar way. And then I saw your TikTok that you did, which was,
I was really debating posting that. I think like it was just I was actually going to an event, and I was on the tube, and I saw the ruling because I knew it was happening, but I didn't know. We obviously were waiting for the outcome. As my other friend who was trans, we just both kind of just in shock. And then I got to this event, and you know, you almost get more sad because you have to put on like a brave face. Like, oh yeah, I'm fine. Like, and I got to the toilet, and I was like, no, I literally just burst out crying. And the video actually was I was explaining on my private story what was happening, and then I started like, obviously I got quite upset, and I think with this whole situation, when the whole like women's only gym thing happened, I did a big like 5-minute video explaining. I wasn't emotional in it. I was explaining like statistically what's happening, and you know what this means and whatever. And I got ridiculed anyway, so I was like, I actually don't have any words to like describe how I'm feeling because I'm so fed up of this situation. And yeah, I posted. I mean, it's quite nearly 20 million views, which is like ridiculous.
it's ridiculous. You post a video of basically you just looking incredibly
Yeah,
emotional,
yeah,
and it was just writing across the
yeah,
screen, just explaining what
yeah,
you were feeling. And I saw it because obviously we follow each other and we know
yeah,
each other, but also it was trending #1.
yeah, which is scary.
It is scary.
Yeah,
And it's scary because what happens is, I suppose, for you, Belle, is then people look to you as a spokesperson, and that's
yeah,
like a lot of pressure that maybe
yeah,
you do or don't want.
yeah. I think to be fair, since a young age, I was one of the first sort of trans people on TikTok in the UK to a certain degree. So I've always felt a pressure to kind of make sure that I'm explaining the right narrative, and I hold myself to such a high account because I know that I'm the first impression of like a trans person to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So how I act is dependent, it will affect how people see trans women.
Yeah.
So I've always been really careful of what I say and how I act. So it does get scary when as I get older, the more people see me and the more people watch, like 19 million people is what, like a third of the UK.
It's crazy.
That's terrifying.
It's
That's a
really
lot.
terrifying. Look, I mean, we also, I think we should take a step back and understand like you as a person, right?
Yeah.
As well, which I really want to know.
Yeah.
And like I already know it, but I think our listeners are gonna, because you've had a really pretty topsy-turvy life.
Yeah.
It's
That's
been,
one way to describe it. Yeah.
it's been not so. When you spoke about the fact that last year was a lot of,
Yeah.
and you probably mentally went to maybe a dark place. By the way, I get that, because I think throughout your life, you've had to protect yourself in lots of ways from bullying and everything. And I think same ways that I think a lot of us do, and especially me, is that when you're in the firing line, you got the shield up, you're protecting.
Just kind of, and you're working, you're busy, and like you've got the next event and the next event, and it's like you don't really have time to think about it.
And slowly what happens is subconsciously it breaks you down. And then it's about 3, 4, maybe 5, 6 months later, that's when it hits you. And you don't understand why you're feeling that way. And you're like, why do I feel anxious? Why do I feel sad? Why is my brain not working the way it is? And it's because all of the historical things have happened, suddenly hit you at once.
Exactly. Because that's what I found. Because I got, like, school was really rough, and then I left school and then started social media. And then I'm only 21. So it's like, I only left school, what, like 4 or 5 years ago?
Where did you grow up, Belle?
I grew up in Leighton Buzzard. Big up Buckinghamshire. I have to say that because it's close to Milton Keynes, and I tell people Milton Keynes, and they all give me like the dirtiest looks. I'm actually not from Milton Keynes. It's like down the road. Yeah, I grew up in like Buckinghamshire.
Parents were together?
Yeah, my parents were together till I was 13, and then they divorced. Yeah, well, I was like transitioning at the time, so like my parents, they were going to stay together till I was 18, and then my dad, love him to pieces now, but when I was younger, he found it really hard in me being trans. So I think it's a big shock. I think you can still love someone so much, but obviously he's grown up. My dad's like a football guy, like he loves cricket. Cricket's like not the most manly sport. Like, sorry if you play cricket. I'm sure you're great.
Loves cricket.
Yeah, don't let that, like, no toxic masculinity to it. It's not exactly like, so I think for him it wasn't a shock because I think the closet was glass, but I think it was still a big thing for him to process. I think seeing his son slowly become more feminine and wearing makeup, like he found it really hard. So I think he knew that for me to sort of become who I wanted to be, he had to sort of take a step away, which meant they were going to divorce anyway. They weren't very happy. But they were going to do it after sort of left, like went to uni or whatever. But that was sort of the timing it ended up being, which I had to do with that. And then also like, obviously school, which was
horrendous. Were you an only child?
Yeah. Do I give off only child energy?
I don't think you do, actually. That's what I was putting. I don't think you do. What is only child energy, do we think? The only reason I say it because also if you're, not only do... And look, I don't want to put words in your mouth, right? But not only did you probably growing up feel alone in society, right? But also not having any siblings around, that's also alone. You don't have anyone to communicate with or talk to apart from your parents.
Because I moved schools a lot because I was bullied since I was 5. So, yeah. But I'm so like desensitized to it. Partly because I haven't processed it. I think.
What do you mean? Just hang on. Just like explain for someone who is sitting here, like listening to this right now, right? Who, because I want to go to the bad, but then I also want to flip to the good, right? 100%. To make sure. What do you mean you were bullied at 5?
Well, I was always, it got really bad in upper school, but when I was younger, I never really fit in. Because I think looking back, it's quite sad really. Like looking back, I always wanted to be a girl. I think I just didn't have the word. Also, it wasn't a thing. This is why I get so angry at people when they say it should be taught in schools. It's because like if that happened to me, like if I knew about it in school, I'd be in such a different place to where I am now. But yeah, I think it was just a situation of like didn't really fit in, didn't really want to do the boy things. The girls also was like, who the fuck is this bloke? Like not leaving us alone. So it was kind of like I just was on my own a lot. And then the boys were quite horrible to me, so I moved schools when I was 7, which is a bad time to move because then I joined a new school halfway through the sort of 4-year situation, and then no one wanted to be friends with me there because I was like an odd kid. Not odd, I just didn't really fit in.
You were confused as like an individual, right? Which is like, and if you, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it feels like if you're, as kids, we just want to fit in.
Yeah.
That's all we want.
That's the thing. I used to play football. Like, I was a defender. I was cracking though. Do you know what? It's a real shame they banned us from all the sports because I really could have gone pro. Like, could have seen me in like the Lionesses or something. What's her name? Jill Scott? Way. Marching down the pitch. Love the Lions. No, big up the Reds. Yeah, don't know any football terminology, so don't catch me.
But that's how. So you had to move school, and just talk me through, just understand what the bullying was like. Was it just name calling? What was it?
Yeah, I think, well, when I was younger, it was just sort of name calling and not being allowed in like groups and stuff. So I got quite used to that. Like, but it got really bad. I'd say when I came out as gay, it was okay because I was still in a middle school.
How old is that?
Like, so where I'm from, it's like lower school, middle school, upper school. So it's like 3 different schools. Which, so I know a lot of people do it. So it's like year 1 to year 6 and year 7 to 12. But mine was like year 1 to 4, 5 to 8, and then 9 to 12. And my 9 to my like upper school, that was really bad because I made friends in middle school and I was gay in camp, and then I went to a bigger school, like double the size, where it's like all these kids from like the local area we went to. And obviously it was such a big shock to the system for them, because I was really the only like out like gay kid in my area, really.
Yeah, I
Like
can
it was like,
imagine.
that was quite feminine anyway. Yeah, and then I'd say it was, I had friends in year 9, but then when I came out as trans, it was like, it was, yeah, it was just a lot. Like it was,
Do you find it hard to talk about?
I can talk about it. It's just one of the situations, like, it's the only way I can describe it. It was like this constant, like, it was one of the situations where I was so like subhuman to everyone. Um, and it was like anyone could do anything to me and it'd be fine. Like even the teachers would like dead name me at school. And like I used to always like argue to like be in the women's toilets, and I used to like go through like arguments with teachers all the time, and I had like my nudes leaked multiple times. People spat on me. Like it was genuinely like the worst. And I think this is what makes people like, I never talk about it because I also don't want to sound like a sob story, but it's like it was luckily like, I don't know, like I didn't do anything crazy, but yeah, like it was horrendous, like so bad. Like, and people would like, I didn't want to like be here. Like it was horrendous. Like it was just like, no, it's fine. It's not like, it's fine. I'm happy. I'm fine now.
I
But
know
like,
you are, Belle,
yeah.
but also like it's so like I can even almost like feel yourself like trying to defend yourself now, because you
Yeah.
feel like
I just think,
I want to like I almost want to, and this is so, like I don't know what, I almost want to go to that younger
yeah.
person and like hug you and say it's okay. And this is
Yeah.
like when you're in a situation like that
Mm.
and you're going through something so awful,
Mm.
and you've already come out as gay, which is brave enough.
Yeah.
Like that is incredibly brave already, especially in an area that no one's come out as gay. And then you then want to transition as well, and you're going through that, and then you're going through all of those things.
Yeah.
You have every right to say that you were feeling shit, and
Yeah.
it's not a sob story.
Yeah.
You are you kidding me? Like
Yeah.
1,000,000%, and you should almost just like accept that was a moment of time. But it's so scary when you're in that moment. You don't think there's an end to it.
Yeah. This is like what worries me now of kids like in school seeing the news, because it's like they're gonna think how I felt, which was like, it's not gonna get better. Which I'm glad, luckily also, like, you know, a lot of my job aspirations happened, and I'm very grateful. But I don't know where I'd be now if it wasn't for my career.
I had Luke Evans on.
Yeah.
I don't know why I pointed there. He's not behind me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We just got Luke Evans.
Luke Evans.
Luke Evans is
Actually
here.
love Luke Evans. I think he's so cool.
He's so cool.
Yeah.
But he, when he was on the podcast, he experienced like terrible bullying, but he knew that it was going to, there was an end to it. And I think sometimes when you're in a job or relationship, or you're in a mental health situation, the hardest thing is to think this is going to pass.
Yeah.
And you've got to always think that it's going to be okay. You just got to get through these moments.
I think also because it was like even my friends, it was like everyone around me. Do you know,
Your friends turned on you?
Well, my friends wouldn't like it. I was seen as like not like really like, they didn't want to be near me, so I used to like eat lunch by myself. And like at prom, like I was like made to go by myself. Yeah, I'm in my first non-school uniform day as like a trans girl, and I wore this. I was like, I saved all my money, and my mum bought me this like really nice outfit. It was too fair. Looking back, it was fucking shocking. But like red clots, it was really bad. But I was like so happy and so like just whatever. I went into school and literally everyone mocked me the whole day. And in my friendship group were like being really horrible and like just allowing it. And yeah, it was bad. And then even like one girl, she went my phone, and this is like a few weeks after she went on my phone, found these like explicit pictures of me and like sent them to herself and then sent them around school. Like, and she was my friend in my friendship group. And that it like, yeah, it was just, I think looking now I'm older, I'm like, maybe they just didn't want to be the ones who bullied. So maybe they were the ones like making sure that I constantly had things to like, it was like every week it was like a new thing that happened to me, or like a new, someone like would join the school and they wouldn't understand the situation, would be horrible, or like, you know. So I think maybe they just were like self-defense. I don't know. But it was not.
Sometimes you just, I mean, it feels just like kids are just assholes sometimes. Kids are
Yeah.
dicks.
Yeah. And adults are as well, to be fair. But,
because when
yeah.
and I promise you we will get to the light bit. I promise.
Yeah. No, I'm happy to talk about it. I never talk about it, really.
It's just, but for me, it's so important. Firstly, I think for you, it's important. But also, I cannot tell you the amount of people that you are going to be helping by speaking about this and seeing the position you are in now and all the success you've had at such a young age. People are going to go, well, if she can do that, then I can do that.
Yeah.
And that's what's so important. When you are younger and you are a boy, but you feel like you're, what does that feel like?
For me, it was never really, when you're young, you can only put it into situations of like, you want to hang out with the girls, you want to have long hair, you want to, because that's obviously what you don't, so you're just you don't really know what's going on. Like, you just want to be exactly what the girls are doing, who the girls are with, and you don't really feel comfortable wearing boy clothes, and you want to play with girls things, and that's how like it starts off. Well, that's how it started off with me anyway. Very simple things, but I think because it was so ingrained in me that I couldn't do that, and I couldn't like whatever, you kind of put it to the back of your mind. That's what I did anyway, because I think that just shows, depends on your parents. Like, I think some parents like, oh yeah, you can do that, and I think that obviously opens up a broader conversation. But I think if you kind of push it away, it went to the back of my head. And then for me, when I sort of found out what being trans was, it was
Where did you find that out?
It's just online.
Really?
Like, I didn't know what it was. I literally like I didn't know what it was. It wasn't until like Monroe Bergdorf did like her like Piers Morgan GMB situation, or this woman called like Nikita Dragon. She was like back in the Jeffree Star days. I was like YouTube. She was on, and I was like, oh, this girl's so pretty. And they were talking about being trans. I was like, oh my God, that's no way. And I came out straight away because it was like a sort of jigsaw. It's like a little puzzle piece, like finally in. I was like, this makes so much sense, because I was
straight away.
Yeah, straight away. Like, to my parents, like, because it like I was already wearing makeup and like, but it was never enough. Like, I always wanted to be a girl.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. And then you look back and you sort of realize, oh my God, like all them years of why I felt like this and why I felt like that and why that upsets me and why I don't like this, like, all kind of made sense. And it's like, it was like a light bulb moment, I think.
It's brave of you to just suddenly come out with it, because normally it's one of those.
I had nothing else to really lose, to be honest.
Yeah, but that's you're so brave in those situations.
Yeah,
like normally with the bullying and the thing that's going on, that would make you go more and more into yourself, and not. But you're constantly, what it feels like is you're constantly trying to find yourself. You'll know your true self.
And I think I'm still doing that now. I think because I was online like 3 years into my transition or 4 years into my transition, and that's still so early on. I think it takes like a good like 5-10 years to like fully start to feel good.
Explain that more to me.
Because, well, first of all, especially when you're so young, you have to like wait to get on hormones, and then you have to like, it takes years for hormones to like properly start to like, you see a difference, and then you have to get the side. Like, I've had so much work done since I last was on here, but you get like, people get like obviously facial feminization surgery, or like their voice done, or their boobs done, or the bottom surgery. Like, it depends on the person, but to get all them processes done, it takes a long time. So it takes you a long time to feel like actually more like a woman, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not just like, this is when people slag off like Gina Mulvaney, for example, who like shared her transition online from day one to however many now, and people were like, well, she doesn't look like a woman. Like, when she was in like day 200, it's like, well, she's not going to. She's transitioned from a man to a woman. Like, you're not going to look like the fishiest like doll in like, that's terminology that you might not understand. Fish is like fish, like she looks like a cis woman, and doll is like what trans girls are called. I can't believe I'm having to explain that to you. That's so funny. I said fish doll, and he was like,
yeah, I was just still smiling at you.
Fish, doll. Yeah, no, like, as in, you're not gonna look. Because also, if you transition in like your 30s, you spent the last 30 years being a man. Like, it's going to take a long time to, if you decided tomorrow that you're trans, for you to look and act and sound how you want to be, and act like how you want to be, and look how you want to be, it takes ages. It's not just going to like happen overnight. So I think this is what worries me. It's going to discourage people to come out with this whole like law situation, because like, I didn't use the female's bathroom until I was like 17, probably.
Did you not?
Because if I went out and I knew that I wasn't going to pass, I just would like put a hat on, like wear boy clothes. Like I wouldn't like, because also I was always like, I didn't want the stress of that happening.
Of course you wouldn't.
Yeah.
That you started transitioning when you were 13,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so then that's this sort of process that you have to go through. Again, being naive, is it expensive? Can you use the NHS? Do you have to go private? How does it all work?
So with the whole situation with the NHS now, it's different. Like you can be waiting for like 7 years to get your first appointment to go on hormones. So most people go private because it's just, I mean, who's waiting 7 years of your life?
There's a big thing. I saw a thing online where a doctor was asked about transitioning and doing sort of sex changes and things like that on the NHS, and he said it's a really beautiful thing because you can't understand the mental damage that is happening to women and men who don't have the ability to transition, and the suicide rate is so high that actually, would you rather someone take their own life than actually feel comfortable in their own skin?
And also, because now the government are telling GPs to not, if I went to the GP and said, can I get a blood test? Because I go private for my hormones, they're allowed to say no. Like they're allowed to be, because it basically, the government are not condoning people transitioning really. And I think the same doctor that you're on about said that like the government are basically like pushing this narrative, like not to basically help us with our transition. Like a lot of trans women are getting their hormones denied to them, which also, if you've had the surgery, that's really not good, because obviously you don't have any way of producing hormones, so you have to take artificial hormones to survive. So it's just a bit of like an interesting situation, but it takes like 7 years now.
But so you started transitioning at 13 years old. You're now 21.
Yeah.
So that has been 8 years. Is that right?
Yeah, that's terrifying.
It has been 8 years.
Yeah.
It's been 8 years. How do you feel in your skin now?
Do you know what? I think it's interesting, because I think if I didn't do my job, I'd probably be a lot happier.
Really?
With myself. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I have quite bad low self-esteem, I think. Just from like years of hate and stuff. No matter how I look, I'm always gonna get called a man. So, or like say, like even when I got my voice done, like I get loads of comments saying, "Oh, she sounds fake. She sounds this. She sounds that." Like I was so nervous because I have such a sore throat. So I was like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna get ripped to shreds in this comment section because of the way I sound today." Even like the video that I posted recently, it has like 100,000 comments, and I'd say probably like 80% of them are hate. I think I'd be a lot happier if I didn't do my job, but I think also I love my job, so it's not like I'm gonna quit it anytime soon.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But you have to remember that those people who are spending their time.
Oh yeah, they're absolute losers. Don't worry, I know that.
Yeah, you do know that, right?
Freak.
Yeah, exactly. It really is, and you do love your job. You're great at your job. But what you do is brilliant.
Yeah, but I think obviously because it's ingrained in me since I was like, whenever I transitioned, like the way people treat me in school and then the way people treat me online, my brain's not gonna hold myself to like, I'm obviously gonna think that it's, even though I know it's not personal, like I know the situation, but I think I always put so much pressure on myself to look a certain way or act a certain way because people are gonna comment whatever, so you kind of hold yourself to a higher regard.
You said there was a time when it got really dark.
I've talked about it before, but I think probably when I was like 18, 19 was really rough. Not last year, before that it was really bad. I had like issues of like alcohol and other things, and I had really bad friendships, and I was in a really bad place. This was before I got Heartstopper. This is like probably 6 months before I did the original interview of you. Yeah, it was really bad.
And just drinking a lot, partying a lot.
Yeah,
and just
I literally was like out
everything.
every night. Yeah, when I was, I can talk about this, but I'm not going to go into detail. Like when I was 18, like at a festival, like.
But anything you say, we can always. We don't have to put in.
I spoke about it online, but like when I was 18 at Reading, I got my like first time wasn't consensual, and I was drugged, so I then spent like a year. This was after like everything happened at school and stuff. I was like just had left college, and I was getting like a lot of hate online. So I'm so sorry. It's fine.
By the way, if you want to cry, I cry on this the whole
No,
time.
yeah,
So
it's
you can
fine.
let it all out. Don't worry.
Yeah, no, it's
Crying
fine.
is the big thing. Can we get some tissues? Because you
No, oh, thank you. No, I'm
crying.
fine.
Listen, crying
Thank
is.
you so much.
I cry all the
Thanks.
time when they show this. I mean, you can't even
Yeah.
imagine. I'm so sorry.
It's fine. So I just like that was like a big self-esteem thing. And it kind of like I just drank away my problems for a long time. Yeah, and then I had like issues with friendship groups, and I was in this group that I used to live with, and then they kind of all quite horrible. So it's literally on my own. And yeah, it was really like some nights I was like, this is like I'm just gonna whatever. That was a tough time because I think like it took me years to like get over that. And I think I am now. Luckily I wasn't conscious when it happened. So I'm grateful for that in certain aspects because I don't remember anything. So I don't have any like sort of like what's it called, a visual stuff to like recover from. It's just like how I felt mentally. So yeah.
Do you know what's amazing is that with all of this that you have gone through, and it's a lot. It's a lot for any human to take. It really is. You're still a voice of hope for so many people. You're a pretty amazing human.
Thanks.
You really are. Like
Thanks,
truthfully,
so
right?
nice.
And I think there are so many people out there who watch you online, look at you online, maybe don't comment. The amount of people that are not commenting, maybe their daughter or their friend or their son or their themselves are going through the same thing or dealing with the same stuff, and you're that person that's saying, this is what I've dealt with, this is what I've been through, and I'm still here, and I'm still standing strong, and I'm still getting through it. It really, it's beyond amazing, I think. But then, you know, when you do start going on social media and start talking about it, did you kind of find like a place where you could start speaking out and being like, oh, maybe I have found my crowd, my team, whoever it is?
I think it depends on what I talk about, and sometimes I go through stages where like I'll be on the For You page a lot, so like it's a lot more of an open audience. But sometimes I'll go through stages where I'm not like my videos aren't performing as well, so I know I can kind of talk about stuff that's a bit more open because it's not going to be seen by that many people.
Wow, so you monitor it like that?
Yeah,
so if your videos aren't being seen as much, you're like, oh, I can talk about things that I wanted.
Yeah.
Wow.
But then I shot myself in the foot with this whole video when it came out last week. The last like videos that I posted last few months, everyone's obviously viewing them and I'm talking about all these things like openly, and everyone's seeing that like that I didn't know would see that. So also I'm not a child, like I know that posting anything online, like anyone can see it. So I share less than I used to share. I think after like certain situations like Reading, and I kind of share less now. I don't think I'd come online and like I'll do something like this and I'll say how I feel, but I don't think I'd like sit and talk about it online like to my followers, because I also think a lot of people have shit to deal with.
Your story is fundamentally so important, and a lot more important right now, and then lots of other people. So I think you should share. I really think. I think you should be scared of sharing. I think you. In those situations, if someone, okay, fine, let's think about someone who's listening, right? Someone who's listening, and perhaps they are going through sort of similar experiences. Maybe it's bullying, or they do want to transition, or they're coming out as gay, or whatever it is, and they want to start talking about it online. What advice would you give that person?
I think it's so interesting because my advice would be like, don't listen to what people say. And
there you go, right?
Like, be yourself. But, you know, I think it's good for people to share their stories. I find now with like having a bigger platform, you can't really win. I think you get this as well.
Yeah.
If you share your shit, if you don't share your shit.
Yeah, it's true. That's exactly what it's like.
It's that you kind of always have this moral compass of like, how much do I share?
Are you good at accepting love?
No.
Not at all.
Absolutely not. But I just, my brain's not used to it. But it's just like, I don't know. I never talk about this. It's crazy for me.
Have you ever been in love?
No.
You not?
Definitely like platonic love, but not, I wouldn't say like in love. I think it's so hard dating as a trans woman. It's something that's not really talked about a lot, but it is really difficult.
Explain that to me.
Well, I think especially with everything going on. But aside from that, I think like a lot of men, it's still really shunned upon to date a trans woman. I think people still think you're gay or think that like you're this or that. And, you know, a lot of guys like are happy to like have a one night stand with me or whatever. Not that I do that too often anymore. I have standards. But people like don't want to date you or don't want to be seen out of you. And I think that's a really difficult thing. And to sort of deal with. And you don't have the normal dating experience. And that's why you accept, like, I accepted with that boy, such like shit situations, because I was like, it doesn't get better than this. And I'm not going to find someone that will treat me the way I'm meant to be treated, because it just doesn't have, it's not like, I'm not meant to have that, like, you know, I don't know if I'll ever get like married or like I'll find someone that, you know, whatever, because I don't know if that's like, it's rare for us. It's not a situation that happens as often as like.
Would you like to get married?
Yeah, I would. I think like it's so weird. Like I think if I always wonder what I'd be like if I was like born as a girl. And I always think like I'd probably get married really young and like have kids and have a pretty chill life. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's something that I'm ever gonna have. So
can I ask a personal question?
Yeah.
Do you ever sometimes think, or sometimes go, and I hope this doesn't come across wrong, but you just kind of go, why me? Why why couldn't I have just been born a girl?
I think especially when I was younger, it was really hard, because I think you ask yourself like, why am I so different to everyone else? Yeah, I think I stopped after a while though, because I think you just kind of get used to it, and it is my life. Like, I think, you know, there's certain things that other people have experienced or other people have that you just becomes part of you. Like being trans is me, I can't change it, so I might as well just try and embrace it. But I do think it's more now like, why do I have to deal with this? Or why do I have to deal with a guy being like this? Or why can't I just have this? Like, why can't I just have, like, I won't probably have like a young love situation, you know, but because I'm trans.
One more personal question I want to ask, like, just, and I hope this is okay. You said occasionally when you had like maybe a one night stand or whatever, in the morning when you wake up, does the person then sort of go, do they?
I've had so many situations with guys when they've been really cold after or not spoken to me after. Granted, again, I haven't had like 51 nights. Not that that's all right. I just personally don't get that much. I don't. Anyway, sex positive and stuff, but that's just not me. I find that like it's people are fine with it until sometimes they get in that situation when they see me or like whatever happens. The next day, I find that people just go cold or they take a step back, or it's very much like, oh yeah, just casual, babe. But like they'll try and like ask me on dates and stuff, and then whatever happens, it's like, oh, actually no. And then you'll see them again. Love women, but they'll like pie me, and then they'll come out with some girl who is like a minger, and I'm like, okay, fair. Like if that's like, it's like it's annoying though, because like you sit and think like, why can't I, like what was wrong with me? And obviously shock horror, I know what it is, but like why can't, like you always end up comparing yourself to these women who you look nothing like, because of a guy who never respected you in the first place. Like it's just
I get
it's interesting. But I think every girl's had that where like they've really fancied a guy, they've gone on a few dates, and then the girl that they end up being with, you're like, fair enough, like do your thing. If you're happy, you're happy. If you're blind, you're blind.
Heartstopper came around.
Yeah.
One of the biggest Netflix shows out there. You would have been, how old? You'd be 19, 20?
I was 19 when I got it.
You were 19?
Yeah.
What was that experience for you?
Oh, it was insane. Like, it changed my life completely. And I think for me, social media was always a means to an end. I love my job, but I want to do bigger things like that. Yeah, I loved it. I mean, it was a great show. I'm very grateful that I did it.
What is the response like from it?
Yeah, it was insane. It was a lot. That was the time where I felt like people were really proud of me, which was nice. And I felt really proud of myself, which was nice as well.
What's it like turning up on set for the first day?
If you couldn't tell, I've been through a lot. I get quite anxious. I was shitting bricks. I was so nervous. I had a matcha and it went straight through me. And we were on set in this field, and poor people, there was one toilet and I used it. And I was like, I'm so sorry. And then got to set. Yeah. Obviously never been in a Netflix show before, as many people haven't. And this guy, love him. So he says, we were doing our lines, whatever, and we got set, ready to do this scene, whatever. And there was something about a wave. I had to do a wave or something, and they did it a few times, like cut. And then on the big boom mic in front of about 200 extras, like, Bella, can you like do your line? Like, that'd be really appreciative. Like when we say like go, like get up. I can't remember what it was. I was like, okay. That was like in front of the whole cast, like the whole crew. Alice was there. She was fucking hell, here we go. Like,
it's a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot, but I loved it. And I think season 3 I enjoyed more because I felt more like a part of, because obviously you get to set and everyone's got friends from season 1 and you're kind of like getting into it. But yeah, I love it. And like obviously I've got hopefully future projects coming up, so it should be really fun. But I love being on set.
But that is amazing. There's a big thing which people think, which is where sort of, and it's sometimes in some circumstances it's really hard to believe it, but especially with yours, but everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, 100%.
Really?
Yeah, I really believe that, 100%.
So you sort of believe that all the hardship that you've been through and all the ups and downs and all the things that happen have led you to the right place?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's like, I mean, I'd like to think that. And I think also what I went through school, as much as it was awful, definitely prepped me for what I want to do. Because also, like, you can't really get worse than what I went through in school. So dealing with what I deal with now online, I'm like, no offense, but like, call me what you want, because it's been 10 times worse. So like, you can't really shock me. Like, there's no shock factor to it. Like, be a bit more creative. That would actually make my day a bit more. Someone did say recently that I look like I take part in like bestiality or something. And I was like, wow, this is great. Like a new one. Like, I'm so happy. Like a new comment. Because I was so shocked by it. I thought it was great. Like I was like, oh, this is cracking. But yeah, like the whole like bloke comment doesn't really like bother me anymore. Someone did say yesterday I look like John Cena in a dress. And I was like, oh, okay, like, thank you so much for that. But like, sometimes it makes me laugh. Like, I see the humor in it now. I don't really read my comments. Like,
you shouldn't read them. There's
no, I don't.
With someone listening right now, right, who is maybe experiencing a lot of hate, maybe it's at school, maybe it's way smaller than ever you did. But what coping mechanisms would you say that they should use?
I think having a support system is so important. Like, it's something that I didn't have in school. And I think if I had a support system, it would have been a lot better. And like finding your people, like you need to find your people in life that understand you, and you don't have to put a guard up or be a different person. Like just being yourself around a good group of people really helps in finding your people. And also like, I find that now online, like you can meet friends and you can find a community that's very similar to yours. I didn't have that growing up. I think that would have made things a lot easier. And also obviously just ignore people. Like you have to just keep your head down, keep going, and just ignore people. Because they're not gonna, you can't win. And if you can't win with someone, there's no point in valuing their opinion. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, completely.
Like with people that comment, it's like, if I like transition tomorrow, you're still gonna think I'm a weirdo. So like, so I detransition tomorrow, you're gonna still think I'm odd. So I can't win. So there's no point in having a conversation with you. I was meant to go on this news thing and debate with someone. And I was like, I'm not debating with someone. I have no words for someone that thinks I'm a man. Like, what am I meant to say? Like, I'm not going to argue with you over my existence. I'm here. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, what do you want me to say? Like, oh, like, if you can't respect me as a woman, there's no need for us to have a conversation, in my opinion. So, yeah, I think it's just listening to, like, someone that really values you and you trust them, listen to their opinions, not to random Stacey down the road.
You're so right. Can I ask you some sort of big questions?
Yeah.
Okay. Not that they've been small already.
Yeah.
One that how do you personally define the difference between sex and gender?
So sex is, this is what's interesting is, so sex, people think it's male or female, but there's actually intersex, which is, I think there's 40 or 50 variations. So a lot of people aren't, like, sex isn't, it's complicated. It's not just a one or other thing. Like, it's not a binary thing. So gender is how you identify, and it's how you express yourself, and it's like what you feel most comfortable in. So, you know, so I am transgender, so I change genders. You can't change sexes. Does that make sense?
Yes, makes sense.
But this whole situation with the bathroom situation, people saying like, well, biological women, but a lot of women, if you look at women in general, you have women that are about 5 years ago, again, don't quote me, about 5 years ago, English. About 5 years ago, there was a study. If you look at a woman who is like 6'2", flat chest, male, like masculine jaw, or like you have women that are 5 foot and curvy and, you know, whatever, their chromosomes will probably be a bit different. It's a spectrum, it's a range now. It's what I believe is like scientists are starting to discover. So, and a lot of people are intersex. So when it comes to the whole like biological argument when it comes to bathrooms, you're excluding a big group of people because a lot of people don't fall into the two lanes. But yeah, so sex and gender are different, and gender is how you identify.
And they're also, you know, thinking on that, there are sort of extreme people who believe that trans women now shouldn't be in female spaces.
Yeah.
What do you feel about that?
With the whole like argument when it comes to trans women, I think a lot of them haven't met a trans woman, and people always do it on the basis of protecting women, but you have nothing to protect them from. And also, with this whole like new law and stuff, how's your life changed? Because I could ask any woman in this room and I'm sure they still feel as unsafe walking home at night. Nothing's changed. Like, this hasn't made anything better. And like, trans women aren't the problem, it's men. Oh, shock horror. Like, it's not like, I don't see any of these women at like women's marches, or any of these men like, you know, calling out their friend when their friends are sexist or like have, you know, done something to a woman. Like, it's really interesting when people pick and choose their battles. And, you know, with this whole situation, people saying how it's not going to affect women. Like, if I get stopped by a police officer or like public transport, I will now be strip searched by a man, which is crazy. Look at situations like Sarah Everard, obviously, who was murdered by a police officer because she trusted him. Like, police have like, I think it's like 1,100 like cases like sexual misconduct a year or something like that against them. Do you really trust the police that they're not gonna see a woman that they fancy on the train, strip search her, which they can do now, and claim that they thought that she was trans, and then, but in the eyes of the law, be fine because legally, oh, well, I thought she was trans. Because also, like, if I walk down the street, I mean, here in comes the comments saying, like, oh, I could tell. But, like, you probably wouldn't be able to tell. So it's a really dangerous game. And also now, men can claim they're trans men and go into women's spaces and go into the female toilets. So if you were worried about me coming into the toilets before, you've got a bigger issue coming your way.
So just so, again, this is my naivety. So they haven't changed the law. So trans men can go into...
Well, they're saying you have to go into the toilets that you were biologically. So these trans men
why didn't I not even think that through clearly?
These trans men who were women when they like obviously transitioned from female to male, who have had surgeries, who have also been on hormones since they were God knows how old. Like, you know, you might have a guy with a full beard, looks like you, but is trans, now technically has to use the female's bathroom.
So, as a trans woman, do you feel unsafe?
I think I do, but I know I have it a lot better than other trans women. I'm more concerned about, and I'm more here to talk about kids that are just transitioning and how scared they must be compared to me. Because it's not about me, really. It's about all these kids that don't pass, or all these people that have just transitioned that now can't use the toilet and now are going to be scared walking out and about. Because you have the government saying that they're not the gender that they identify with. And that is scary because it's just going to like increase hate crime. In school, when I was younger, I had, luckily, I mean, the situation with trans people was a lot better than it is now. And I always knew that in the eyes of the law, I had somewhat of protection. And, you know, technically, the higher ups saw me as a woman. So, like, these people were just being twats. But I knew that, like, legally and stuff, I could still get to a certain level as a woman. So now that's out the window, and you have the government basically shitting on trans people. So then what narrative does that send to kids, and what narrative does that send to, you know, lads? Like, they're just going to get worse.
What kind of challenges arise when your legal sex doesn't match your gender identity? Like in terms of healthcare, travel, or employment?
Well, now it's like it's going to predominantly be the issue of what spaces we're allowed in. And also we're not protected in them spaces anymore. So like I'm not protected in a women's space anymore. legally, I believe, once the law goes into place.
It's complicated, isn't it?
It's complicated.
It's really hard.
It's interesting. And also, like, for example, if like something happens to me, I go to a male ward. I don't go to a female's ward anymore. Yeah. So if I get or if I get in, like, you know, I mean, I'm a lover, not a fighter, but if I scrap a bitch, which I won't do, peace and love. If, you know, she was a knob and took it to court and I got put in prison, I'd be put in a male's prison. I wouldn't be put into a female's prison. Because in America, they're changing people's passports back to male. That's like a big thing. It's happened to like Hunter Schafer and stuff. It's really bad. I've got turned down from a club once when I was like 18 for being trans, I think. Like, he looked at me, he was like, oh, like, that's like, doesn't line up or something, you can't come in. I was like, so if you start to see, we'll start being excluded from certain spaces, I think. And also what happens now, is they say publicly, like any public toilets, there has to be a third space, which also we're in a recession. Do you really think we have the money to be doing that? But it then becomes like what a business decides to do. Then also if a business isn't following the UK guidance, they can also be sued. So it's like, basically, if people really want to be twats, like, they'll feel so much pressure from TERFs and whoever to make sure that it's biological spaces because they don't want to get the fear of like people not turning up and stuff. So it's just like, it's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out.
Can you explain the term TERF?
It's a trans exclusionary feminist or something along the line, radical feminist. Yeah. So basically, it's a feminist that doesn't believe in trans rights or doesn't believe that trans women are women and they're separate.
An example of that would be someone...
J.K. Rowling, who put like 70 grand into this whole Supreme Court thing, by the way. Of course, that's why they won. I think she was neighbours with the guy as well, or like one of the Supreme Court people. Sorry, what a knob. Like, can we just like discuss, like, write another novel? Like, you could do a sequel, like Harry Potter's still alive. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's so many other things you could do. What a twat.
Bel, just thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Are you kidding me? Thank you so much. Like, honestly, you're really brave. Like, you really, you really are so brave. And it's just wild. The fact that you were an only child and you felt there was no escape. And I'm just so glad you're here. And you're doing great and you're killing it. And you're doing these amazing things. And you're this beacon of hope for so many people. So just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Promise me.
I will, yeah, I promise.
Okay, that's a promise.
High five.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Bel.
Thank you for having me.
You're the best. We have 8 questions that we like to end on. It's quick fire or however you want it. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
What's a saying or phrase that makes you smile or cheers you up?
I love the saying, that's crack. I love saying, oh my God, that's crack cocaine. Like, oh my God, this is crack. Or, so random, I started saying this recently. This is not a quick fire answer. If someone says something that I don't understand, like, oh, let's meet Wednesday, my point. I just say my point to everything. And it's my, I just love it. Like, if you said something, my point.
Someone said to me the other day, which I quite like, which is when you're having a conversation, and we're probably similar, going off in all different directions. Someone said to me, oh, we'll just pin that there for a second.
Oh, pop a pin in it. Yeah, that's what I do. Just pop. If someone says something, I'm like, pop, 2 seconds. What I was saying was,
It's a good one. Best compliment anyone's ever given you?
I get a lot of compliments saying I smell nice, which is nice. Yeah, I'd say that. Or like sometimes it's like such a backhanded compliment, makes me crease. Like, you actually look quite like a woman. Like, thank you so much. Do you know what made me piss myself? Was on this ITV News thing, it's all this hate, and then I had one comment, like 5 likes, hear me out. I went, yes! Fucking get in.
When was the last time you cried?
I think the last like 2 weeks. But yeah, I cried, like when this whole situation happened, I cried a lot. What's something you can't let go of? One thing that I find, it's a big motivation, but also a big, like, it's annoying, is the way people treat me at school. I'm always trying to prove people wrong, which I don't actually ever get rid of. And it's a good driving force. I'm like, yeah, like, you work at a garden centre, I'm like, whoa. But nothing wrong with garden centre. But like, it's just the people that was such twats to me at school. It's now like, well, what are you doing? But then I've got past the point, I'm like, Bella, you've got like past where they thought you were going to go. Like, you don't need to keep proving these people that don't care wrong. But it's like, I don't know. That's something that I always keep taking. But I mean, it's got me to where I've got, so. Sorry.
I like that.
It's only going to get worse.
What's your guilty pleasure?
Good question. Sleep. I love a good nap. I'm such a napper.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That's a pretty short answer.
No, I like it. What turns you off?
Like stupidness. Like people that aren't educated on situations, I find like, especially now, you know, when like the election happened and people, I'm just not like very political. It's like, shut up. Like, get educated. I hate people that don't know what they're talking about. Like, you read on the news. It's not difficult. No offense.
What turns you on?
Smart people. I like someone with ambition. Like, I think ambitious people are really, and I also think that you could want to be like the number one Tesco worker, and if you have the ambition, I think that's so attractive. Like,
I'm so with you in that.
Like, it doesn't. I don't have to. Like, I don't want to do that. But like, if it's like, if you really have a passion, that to me is like a really.
Yeah.
It's nice when someone has a passion in life and someone to like goals. I find that really attractive.
I'm so with you. I love
like
it.
Friends and stuff.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what your passion is. I love it when people speak passionately.
Exactly.
If we're talking about making this table, I love it.
Exactly. I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. What do you like most about yourself?
Probably, I think I'm a good friend.
That's one of the best things to be.
Yeah, I think that's a shit answer.
No, it's
Cop
not.
out.
No, that's a good answer.
Yeah, I'd like to say I'm a good friend. And like I'm a loyal friend.
It's the best thing to be.
Yeah.
Never lose that.
Yeah.
Bonus one, favourite swear word.
I love the C word.
You can say it if you want.
Cunt. I love saying that, but I've started saying it too much that I call everything that. Like, some woman could be like, I once said to my friend, I was like, hey, cunt. And they were like, whoa, that's too far. I was like, I'm so sorry. But yeah, I love the C word. Or twat.
This has been crack. That's
it's fucking crack.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.